thanks for inviting me. This is my third trip to New York, so it must be interesting for some of you, a good many of you anyway. This is quite a nice crowd here. Before I forget, our turning club in Pittsburgh is having Mark St. Ledger on March the 15th. The price is $20 in advance, $25 at the door. It's held at the Society for Contemporary Crafts in the Strip District in Pittsburgh. And there's directions and the information on the Turner's Anonymous website for Pittsburgh. So if anyone's interested in that. It's a one-day deal. It's a Saturday. There's a good many people turn ornaments, but I thought I had a little bit different design and everything. And we start out a normal way with a ball, we call it, I guess. And I put these inlays in it. And I have two of them that everything goes well. I'll demonstrate tonight. And the other one is what I call a scalloped ornament. And it's, if you've looked at the display up here, you can see how they're scalloped on the sides. This inlaying, the grooves in that for the wood in that is cut with a 90-degree router bit. And just a small router works better. This was an old one that I had from many, many years ago, and I took it apart and made this jig for it, which is here, and I will show it in a few minutes, explain it, how I put it on the lathe. Now I have it set up for another lathe at home also, but it works very good on this jet, fish, Delta, or whatever. And some of the other things that you can do with that router setup is get it turned so that you're cutting straight in with it instead of on an angle. Originally I did these ornaments like this, and they're straight. And I thought, well, that might look a little better if it was on an angle. So I rigged up the jig a different way and did that. And here's a bell that well, that doesn't want to work well. Here's a bell that I did with that by setting it on a different angle and cutting the slots so it made it very narrow here. Another thing is this, we all call them weed pots. And a little while ago down the road here somebody saw it and said to a young fellow that was standing alongside her, now that's a different kind of a weed we're talking about than what you're smoking. Well, we call them weed pots. My wife doesn't like that word. She thinks that's an ugly thing to have in a house as a weed, you know. But dried flowers. And then these boxes are nice to do by cutting those notches in there. And then I did this little spin top with the inlays on the side. And when you turn, you just lay them in straight like over here. And when you turn it and round it down, you get the point effect, because the inlays for it are made from a square stick of wood like this. This is just a larger piece, exaggerated a good bit for to see. It was a square piece of wood. And then I take this jig and lay it on the bandsaw and lay it up on its edge and slide it through like that. And you get these pieces out long like that and cut them into short pieces. And that's what they look like. You can use the whole block like this, but you waste a lot of wood. So when it's cut, really it's apart, and there's what you're looking at that lays down in these grooves like that. So, in order to do this, you want these inlays spaced evenly, and for these small lathes, you have to make an indexing device. You even have to do it for the ones that I'm using there on a large lathe, because I'm putting 5 inlays in this. I tried it with 4 and 6, and it didn't look right. So I had to make an indexing device for the smaller lathes, or one without an indexing device built into them. So I make them out of these discs of plywood that's 1/4, 5/16, 3/8, whatever. And this particular one is 5. And it goes right on here like that, but before I do that, this part I made, and it's the lever that comes up behind this and goes into these holes like this to lock it in the proper position as it goes around. So I will put this on. And get that tightened on there. And then we will put this on like this. And just put that on like that. And you want to tighten it up pretty tight so that you don't, for one thing, your chuck's supposed to tighten up against the flange on the headstock shaft. Another thing, you don't want this thing wiggling and moving. So I made this long thing here, and it works real good here for knocking that out, and also for sticking in here for the locket. I guess there's one comes with these lathes. And then you just take a round block like this. The block is, I make these blocks, and when I make these ornaments like this, I make quite a lot of them at one time. I probably made 50 of them last Christmas, and I'll make 30, 40, 50, 60 of these blocks all at one time. And they're all 2 3/8 long, and this part in here is 2 inches from here to here. And it makes quite a difference as to the way you set your router up, so that every one of these are cut the same way. If they're a different length, you have to keep readjusting the router so that the bit comes across the center of this way and this way, so that it doesn't have to be exactly, but so that it's close. Now this, I'm going to cut a notch in at 1 1/4 inches, and I'll explain that as I go. But I'll put this in here and get it tightened up good. And I'm not going to use that block of wood. I see there's a knot in it. I'm using hard maple for this, and the inlays on this is, well, one time I bought that same colored wood and they told me it was tulip wood. Another time I bought a big piece of it and it was called bloodwood. Now there's a whole different lot of varieties of bloodwood, and this is a very nice kind of reddish color. I have some bloodwood at home from Venezuela that is very dark. So I don't know, there's all these different names everybody has for these woods, and one country calls it a different kind. There's a technical name for it, and I don't know what they are.
Just had a demo with #1 species of wood from the guy who runs it, Advantage Trim and Lumber here. And he said there's like 20 different species that are labeled bloodwood for a generic name.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of those, you know.
This is a tool rest that I made, brought with me. You have to keep it very smooth, as most of you know, and I put some wax on it. At home, most of the time, I'm using a round one. I like a round tool rest very well. Now this I'm going to turn down to exactly 2 inches, or very close to it. If it's a little under, it isn't going to hurt. If it's over, the router bit will put an edge on it. I'll explain it as I get into routering it, and you'll get a square edge shoulder on it where the router bit's gone too deep, and your inlays won't lay down in it properly. So whatever you have designed, it doesn't make any difference what diameter you've chosen, as long as you stick with it throughout the whole batch that you're doing with that router setup. So we're just a little under the 2 inches, and that will be fine. I'm going to mark this at 1.25 inches. And take a parting tool. First I'll just mark that edge off with a skew. Take the sharp edge off so it doesn't splinter it too bad. I cut all this edges off here so that later on it's a little bit easier to get your fingers down in there to do sanding and everything. Now we can shut that off and get this out of the way. Just slide it up again here. And the other half of, or part of the router jig is this funny looking contraption here, which works very well. This is made out of unistrut, like electricians and plumbers use in buildings for hanging lights off of, or plumbing fixtures in bar joists and a lot. Comes in 10 or 20 foot lengths, and there's a dealer for it. You can buy it at electrical supply places. We happen to have a distributor very close to my home, and I got scrap pieces there. But I also use this on a 1224 one-way, and I put one more section in it here to raise it up because it's a little higher than that. And then you can do adjustments off of this. I've made about 6 of these before I got one that really worked right. I had one with wood slides that I cut the slots on a router table, and that worked until the temperature really changed. The humidity got high one day, and then the thing wouldn't fit together and slide properly. So I come up with this one right here, and I know on this jet lathe, because there's a lady back home, Linda, that was kind enough to leave hers at my place one night after a demonstration, and I used it to get this set up for this demonstration. And I know that it wants to be 11 inches. Pardon me?
That, never pronounced her last name.
Fungahuchin.
Yeah.
That isn't quite right, but you have to have her pronounce it, or her husband's better. They're from Venezuela. She was born there. Linda is I might say a neighbor of mine. She's about 20 minutes away. A very, very nice lady. She's been quite a help to me in turning.
Yeah, I'll tell them where you got the one-way lathe.
Oh, y'all didn't hear about that story. Linda had been telling me about the Texas Turner Tool. It was a great place to go. She said, I'm going there to demonstrate. This was last year. You want to go? I said, well, yeah. So I went. And they always have 1 or 2 great big prizes. The year before they had, in 2001, they gave away 2 or 3 of these Chet mini lathes. Last year, the grand prize was a 1224 one-way, and I won it. Oh. Out of 418 people. $40 worth of tickets. I had to pay to get it shipped home, which was very reasonable, I thought. $250 from
Stratford, Ontario.
Wichita Falls, Texas.
Oh.
And 3 days, and it was at my house. They shipped it Monday morning, and Wednesday morning at 8:45, the telephone rang, and it was the shipping company from down the road they had. FedEx, Ground, or whatever, with the bigger trailer trucks. And it was there. But it was a very, very nice prize. I'm going back again this year. Okay, now what you want to be sure to do is, when you start out on this, is lock this into one of these. Because if you start and you're out in here someplace and think, uh-oh, I forgot to lock it in, you never get it back, you never get in the right place, you know. So, well, after a few of these and a few mistakes, you know, why... Now, this is a piece of plywood. I've had a number of these deals made, and this particular router, I could drill it with a Forstner bit. And I had it made, as you can see, there's 2 aluminum slots on here. That's that T-track that you buy at some of these wood supply, working supply places. And I had 2 of these T-tracks on here, and that didn't work. You just couldn't get them lined up for to slide together right and everything. So I took the one off, and you're holding it like this that goes across, so really all you need is one to keep yourself lined up. And if this light stays up here, I don't know. These things in the back here aren't the best done. I just found another router almost like this, and it's a Makita the other day at Lowe's for $99, and I bought it in case this one goes bad or something, because this is quite old and this cord is very short and bends over here, and I thought, what if that thing kind of shorts out someday? I'm out of luck. So this top table will turn any different angle this way that you want to. So it's easy to get those straight grooves in. Well, that has some strange noises in it tonight. No, I didn't. What's that?
I said you brought your Makita.
No, I didn't. The Makita won't fit that hole in there anyway. I don't think it liked the ride in my van.
I like the New York State Power.
Might be, yeah. That's all for the noisy thing. Now we're going to get rid of this because that's the only one of those that I'm doing tonight. And so we'll get rid of all this extra stuff. Really doesn't take long to cut those slots. And then I have these little blocks all prepared at home. And what you want to do is make sure these grooves are all clean in the bottom and there isn't any sawdust. Because you get glue on that and then you get some sawdust in here. There's some little burrs and fuzzy stuff off the side, and they don't fit tight. So I just take my pocket knife. If you go to flying an airplane anymore, a lot of places you're not allowed them. Probably not allowed to carry them here in the school, but that's all right. and get that all cleaned up off the edge. Now what I was talking about before, if you make this block too big or set that router bit too low, you'll get down into here too deep and you'll get a little edge on here. And that the router hasn't cut into a V. I'm trying to find one that's got longer sides on it and I can't do it. Or especially one with a 1/4 inch shank. But and then these little blocks, when you make them and cut them, sometimes they've got a little bit of a sharp stuff on the bottom here. And if you just rub it on a piece of sandpaper a little bit, like this, for just take the very sharpness off the edge of it where they set down in here. And you can tell that if you set them in and they rock sideways, they're not going to give you a tight joint because you don't clamp any of this. I just use this yellow carpenter's glue. Just a little old stick. One time I thought you had to use a high-tech brush. Your finger works, but it gets awful sticky. And then you just lay those in there and you slide it a little bit, and it'll lock itself in there. Sliding it and just push down on it a little bit with your fingers for a couple seconds, and it's there. And you just keep going around this till you get all 5 of them. I have a general lathe at home, and it has an indexing device on. There isn't any of them that I know of that's manufactured that'll index 5 unless you bought a machinists have them that they index anything, you know. But these lathes with the on, they don't index 5 or 7 or 9 or anything like that. And the general is an under the lid that lifts up back here, and they aren't numbered. And you've got to count all of them. And I've got around to the last one, and I miscounted one of those holes someplace, and it didn't turn out very good looking. So really I have a lot of these wheels, and I use this on the general too. Now the one-way, the 1224 one-way, and I guess the rest of the one-ways have an indexing wheel built into them, and they're all numbered. Or the ones on the 1224 is numbered, and that's very nice.
All hand stamped too. Did you notice that?
What's that? Yeah, yeah, they're all.
Stamped.
Yeah, when they announced, I guess they're coming out with a new lathe, they're coming out with a 16-inch lathe now.
I heard that. The 1224 is a beautiful machine. For what I do, I don't need a larger one. I have the general, and it's big if I want to do something big, but I really am not into big things. It's just my personal preference. I love these big bowls and everything, but I enjoy making these small things, small boxes, and coming up with different designs and all that. So there's all of them in, and I don't clamp them anyway at all. They're just in there. Now, for tonight, we would have to leave that dry in order to use it, and I suppose 20 minutes would dry it enough to use it, but I'm not going to wait. I brought these along that are already prepared, and it's got a different colored wood in it. It's got red, tulip wood. And we're going to get rid of this wheel off of here, this indexing, so that I don't stick my arm up again here some way and burn the dickens out of it. tighten this up with both holes going around here, so if there's a little bit of play or something in those jaws, I get it all even. You can use a 1/2 inch, a spindle gouge, whatever you want, or I'll a lot of times use this 3/8. Got this one in my hand, I'll see how it works. I'm watching the shadow over the top of this with that light on, and I can see when I'm down to the basic round part, the maple there. And I don't want to go too deep into it, or I'm cutting away that inlay that I put in. And then I round this off. Get the face of it nice and smooth. That's 120 that I'm starting with on that. I don't hollow these. If I was going larger, I think I would, but I don't do it on this. I guess maybe before I go too far, I better look to see how it is. I'm not quite deep enough. The glue bled out through that a little bit, by the looks of it. That and Paducah, you can get a lot of the dust in the grain, especially on ash or oak. You put a red tint in it. I have something at home that I did that with. That I took a lot of the red dust from something and rubbed it into the grain on the ash, and it gave it kind of a red tint. There, I got rid of it there. Then I'll just work down through the grits on that. This is 150. I've got this gold kind of sandpaper, and it's got markings on it of what it is, but you can't read it all the time. There's no numbers on it very close. So I know that and the, what is it, 240 or 220, whatever it is that Klingspor sent me in their bargain box. I mark the coarser of it with the black pen, and I mark the 320 with the red pen, and I've been doing that for a long time, and I know which one's which, and all I have to do is look at the marking that I put on the inside of it, and there's one marked with red. We'll come back up here and define that center very well, because I'm going to drill a hole in it now before I forget, because I'm in trouble here. I guess there is a drill press back here, but it's easier to do it here. This is a great little skew. It's a 1/4 inch wood. Bob Roseanne uses it all the time, and I believe this is a gift from him that he gave me. And I really like that little skew for these ornaments and small things, because there isn't any edges to dig in on the tool rest, and you can just roll it around right like that, and it's not too hard to control on its side or anything because of the smallness in diameter. And I made this handle, and it isn't anybody's design other than what turned off a lathe one day, and now if I make a handle I pattern it after this. I liked it so well, it fit my hand so good. I'll have to remember that chuck, or that live center belongs to this lathe.
We'll remember.
I don't think I brought one like that.
You've got your fingerprints on it.
Okay. That should be long enough. That's a little bit of 400. Just get the last little scratches out of it. And that maple will shine up very nice usually. I think it's 400. This is Mylan's friction polish that I use. For these particular things, I kind of like it the best of anything I have used.
Using just paper towel.
Paper towel, yes. I very seldom use a rag on here for the only reason is that I'm afraid it catches and then does a job on my hand, leaves fingers laying here or something, and the towels will tear.
Back here.
What's that?
There's a whole box of fingers that.
Oh, is there? Well, I don't want to add any to it.
Yeah, there's spares.
I don't want to add any to it. I have my hand there so nobody can see what I'm doing, you know. That's gonna protect these ladies out in the front. Here's what I'm trying to do. I almost didn't get it far enough. I make those little Morris taper deals there, maybe many of you make them. And they slide in there. When I'm making them, I make a half a dozen or so. And I'm going to use this 3/8 gouge here. You want to get yourself steadied up real good. See, I almost didn't drill it long enough. It was long enough that I will get myself out of it. Just like that. Now if the tenon fits right, Milan's friction polish, you hold it on there and get it hot, get it warmed up, and that's when it starts to shine it up. And there's the ball for it.
Just as I'm
What do you want?
hold it in one spot, that's okay.
Throw it up in the air and see if you can get it coming down.
It's a good thing you've got such a good sense of humor.
Film is cheap. That's the one I'm gonna put on the web bar, where you're throwing it.
Hello. You can sit there.
I'm all right. I'm comfortable.
See, I was ready to catch it.
Well, so much for that.
Anybody wanna move now?
Try it the same way, only different. Believe it or not, I very rarely have one of them come off. That's face plates that I make. Now here's what we'll do with this. Save you for a little while down there. I make all different designs of these icicles here. You get tired of the plain old things. I don't ever know what it's going to be until I make one. Sometimes I put round knobs on the end of them. Sometimes just little round discs. Depends on what I end up with. I think I'll make one with a little round knob on it tonight. going to start to sand that right now. Usually, again, if you go too far, it will get to wiggling from relieving the stresses in the wood, and it'll get to vibrating at the ends. Another thing, you don't want to get putting very much pressure on that small part of it in there. So you do the end of it here, get that all ready and put a little finish on it.
I think it's
You see it?
I have a skew at home that's in a set of miniature tools, and it's only about 1/4 of an inch or 3/8 wide for miniature turning, but I prefer this round one. It's much easier for me anyway to control on the tool rest.
Now, in lieu of using your little triangular pieces of wood on the main body, have you ever tried to split a dowel and use a dowel stock in there?
No. What you're after is the, you'll have to do it with a round bit. And I never tried that. You have to be sure you cut those strips like this very square. If they're not square, perfectly square, they aren't going to work. They'll roll in there. They won't fit down in and make a tight joint. I think that's a pretty tight joint on that one. Is that a tight joint on that, the glue joint? Was that tight? You can't do a lot of talking when you're doing this. You shake too much. I suppose you want me to keep doing these all night.
speed are you turning at?
I believe that's 1800 there. Usually I'm turning them faster, but it's too hard to change the belts on that, and I have it there. And that's what I was using at home for this. So I figured that would work very good here. If it comes off, it doesn't fly as far. Now, I very seldom have one of them come off at home. Very rare. I used to turn these down with a much finer end on them in there, but then I was having too many of them get broken.
Hey, down in front.
No. Turn around and give him a hard time.
Big one.
Dad, I would have skewed it to death after the first ball.
make these little discs like this, and you want to get kind of a sharp edge on them, you creep up on them. You start it wide, and then you keep working back in so there's a place for the wood to go. You just take little slivers off of it, or it'll chip. And another way to find out if there is any chips in it without shutting it off is take your little finger, any one of your fingernails, and hold up again, and you'll feel a nick in that of the smallest, you wouldn't believe it. And there's one little tiny nick in that. So I just take a little peel off the top of it, and it's gone. You see, I'm going to part off here, and after I put a tenon on it. But I want another flat, sharp spot there. So I'm starting wide here and work and get rid of some wood in here, and then come in over here again here and make the gouge or the skew go in toward the middle. Kind of pull it that way a little bit. Kind of undercutting that a little bit. About the only thing that needs sanded on that is the little round ball right there. The end grain where I've cut these flat discs like are very smooth from cutting the end grain with the skew. I want to get that dried out down in there. It'll take a few minutes to dry if you didn't, but I'm going to part it off here. And I don't want it sticky. This set of calipers I keep set all the time. I don't use them for anything else. They're cutting these tenons. And I drill the same size hole in these balls all the time. It's 3/8. I've just found that that's what works good for me. If a different size was more comfortable for someone else, it would be fine. There's no particular reason other than it's comfortable for me. Then when I go down in there, I undercut the end of that tenon again there, just a little bit, so there isn't, I'm sure there isn't any rounded edge where the two square parts meet, so that it fits down in that ball properly. glue it in a little bit.
Okay, Barb, Craig's taking a picture.
She made it.
Upside down.
Now we'll make the finial for the top. Now before we forget, we make a little bit of a indentation in the end here for the drill bit. And then I've got this drill bit affair here, hand drill mandrel or whatever you want to call it. And what it is tip cleaner for an oxyacetylene torch. I buy them at a welding store. And inside here in the body of it, there's a whole lot of different sizes. And you know, every once in a while you break one, but not too often. That drill's pretty good. Cocobolo is really hard to drill on the inside of that. It comes up in the flutes of the drill bit, and it's really hard to clean out. Sometimes I have to take a little awl and pick it. They're like a dental pick or something. It's on the lathe there, nice and solid. Let's see about putting a little eye pin in it. I'm going to use a little screw eye in that. There we go. I almost ruined that. Maybe I did. Parting tool caught on it. And chipped the edge of it really bad. Now we'll just trim this out a little bit in here. Made that fit a little better. And we'll put a little glue on it. it is.
One file.
Pass it around if you like. It'll only take a few minutes. The heart. If you want to get a coffee or something back there, why, do it for 5 minutes.
I have to see the face, please.
You want to see the faceplate, right? It's made out of a nut, the waste block's put on with double stick tape.
Where are you getting your
Michaels, I got them.
Michael's?
Yeah.
Oh,
Here's a
Yeah,
web
you can
address
get
on the back where you
not
could,
anymore, not the little ones.
How many are you gonna make if you
No.
wanted to?
How did you mount your, in your scrap block?
this scrap block's put on with double stick tape, and then this was put on with super glue.
So you basically just, did you drill in or anything? Just-
No, right,
Just right on-
yeah,
right
right
flat
flat
on?
on the
Oh, okay.
surface of it.
Okay. And
Yeah.
double,
Double stick tape that you buy, yeah, not the carpet tape,
okay.
but the stuff that you buy at Woodcraft or, well, what is the one in Utah? Packard has it. I think I got this from Packard, maybe, I don't know. No, I got this from Woodcraft Supplies. And there's Turner 2 is early this year. It is July, it's August, the last weekend in August, I believe. Go on to Texas Turner 2 on the website and you'll get it.
Hey Debbie, stop. August in Texas.
Hot.
Which is
Normally it's in October, the Texas Turner 2, and why it's early this year, we don't know yet around here, but, okay, this scalloped ornament like this is the next one that I'm doing. It's something, it'll turn out like this. It's a 2-inch square block of wood, and in order to cut them right, they've got to be cut 2 inches square or whatever you decide. And I cut the angles on here. First ones I did was on a bandsaw, and was too much sanding to this round part in here. It was too rough because a bandsaw, you know, isn't made for finished cutting, even though I was using a very good blade. So I cut them now on a radial arm saw or a chop saw. The angle of it is 48 degrees, and why it turned out that way, I have no idea, but it was an angle that I drawed on there one time that worked right, and when I was cutting it with a bandsaw, that's what I cut them at, and I had no idea what it was. The only reason I know it's 48 degrees was when I laid it up on the radial arm saw and pulled it around to where it went across, it said 48 degrees, so. Why, it looked right to me. It's a matter of opinion. You could do whatever. But these blocks are 2 inches square.
How long are they?
Well, I'll tell you that in just a minute. I had that in my head and I lost it. The total length of it is 3 1/4. And then I cut a tenon on it that's 3/8, something like that. The length of this isn't as important as it was on those other blocks because I'm not setting this up to do with a router. And there was one of them here that does have slots in the side. You can only cut 2 in. And you get it lined up on here and lock it some way. I don't remember how I did it, but I'd figure it out sometime. Somebody said to me the other day, can't you cut 4 sides on it? No, you can't cut 4 sides or you turn everything away. There isn't anything left of it. So you can imagine this one here. These points that's right here are these points that's right here. And you'll see that when it's drilled out and turned. Now, in order to drill this, I've got to get this slowed down as slow as it will go.
See what you can do with a jet.
And
But I like
You just use regular Forstner bit on
yeah, I'm using a Forstner bit, but I'm using one that I modified
Quarter-inch.
to keep from burning it. And it will burn some, even tonight, because I can't get these lathes like this.
Oop, it slipped.
Yeah. Yes, maybe you could. I want it on the tallest one there. Maybe you're used to these jet lathes. You have a better view of it than I do.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Very good. Thank you very much.
What a deal.
What a gift.
At home, most of the time I drill these on the general or the one-way, and I can get it slowed down to 100 RPMs or 200 or whatever. Is very slow. A Forstner bit is made to go slow. A Brad Point bit's made to go fast. So they tell me, Fish makes some very, very good Brad Point bits and Forstner bits. Here's a Forstner type bit here, and it really burned bad going in there. It's a fruit. And what I did with it to help it some was I took it to the grinder and I ground this backside way down on it, because it's not doing any good other than putting a drag on it in there. So I ground it off and it helped it some. It works very well in a very slow deal here.
Have you ever tried those carbide Forstner bits they have on?
No, I never did. I never wanted to spend that much money on them. So I just live with this.
How big is the Forstner bit?
1 5/8
Thanks. Thanks, Barbara. Forgot to change it. Forgot to change it.
I don't want to go real deep on this. I'm only going about half the deep of the end of that, the flat end of that Forstner bit. And the reason for it is, if you drill way up in here too far, these are 2 inches long when they're finished. And if you drill up in too long and you make your icicle, you've got to make a big long extension on the end of the icicle, or you've hid a lot of it behind that stuff on the, here it is. If you go too deep, I used to drill it in real deep so that it was thin in here. Keep everything thin, but I was defeating a purpose and had to make the icicle part of it very long, or it was hid in behind this. It's hid already behind the wings on this, but it was hid even more, and you would have to make it longer. So now while that's set up, we'll drill the hole up here for I don't have a lot of travel on these lathes like this because the tang seems to be so long on this Morris taper that hits in the back. Now we've got to get this thing back to a higher speed. I want it down on 1800, which is 4 from there. Can you get it on up there? Okay.
What's that?
That's a little bit, you're the details and right after the show for
Right,
ads
the
and
third
stuff,
one.
they just send it to the. Where? Yeah.
Fourth one.
The fourth one,
This
yeah.
one, yeah.
1, 2, 3, that's what I'm on. Yeah, I think we're
No,
set.
This is Buffalo's.
Yeah, I haven't tightened it.
Oh, okay.
There, it's locked
There you
down
go,
now.
there you go.
Good enough, thanks. There now. Now, to round this off, I use this big gouge, and it might sound silly to use such a huge, big roughing gouge, but the ends, the wings are sticking out on that, you can cut off in just a flash because there isn't much there. You're cutting air most of the time. And this wide tool cuts a much flatter path across that, and it's easier to do. You have to go very easy at it when you get out on the end here, or you'll break it right off. You can hear it that it isn't very much out there. But I'm watching the shadow, and I can see about how thick it is. I'm going to take it down to about an 1/8 or 3/16, something like that. I had one yesterday. Must have had a knot in it that I didn't see. Because I'm not looking for knots in this wood. It's very good wood. It comes from a place in Pennsylvania, northern Pennsylvania, that prepares wood for furniture factories. And it's all #1 stuff. You want that gouge very, very sharp. And even though you can see it, you have to check once in a while to see if it's the way you want it. Because you can go too far very quickly. I'm standing there like that so that I'm braced very, very strong so that it doesn't get away from you. Now, these points that are sticking out here, I take a little bit of 100 grit. Right here it is. And I round them out a little bit. I've tried, I thought I could use some kind of a power drum send or something, but just as well to do that. And you have to leave a little bit of a square on the end in order to drill it properly. It's probably about 3/16 of an inch wide, and you just round that off with that sandpaper. I don't like hand work, but that's the way to do this. Hand sanding and me never got along very well. I guess that's why I wasn't very much of a woodworker and cabinet maker and all that. Do that. It doesn't take too much sanding. That's a little 150. That's a step too quick, but that'll work. You don't have very much sanding to do on it. The inside of it, you don't try to sand at all. That's why you want to cut it as smooth as you can with a Forstner bit. You can take a good sharp square-ended scraper and go in and just rub the edge of that if you need to, but I don't need to on this one. But these other ones that I've made like that have never been sanded on the inside, so you just get a lot of that friction polish in there. And then you sand it down here. Then a little bit of 150. And then go down through the steps of this. You can see what had happened if you tried sanding the inside of that way. You'd really have bruised up fingers. You might even put a blood finish on it. Stain it with blood. Wouldn't be good for the faint-hearted. Now, what I do is come back here 2 inches. And that's going to be our finished length.
I sit further back, but then I can't see.
And now we'll just start to round this off. Gouge up on the edge and just roll it around and roll your body with it. Now I put some little decoration on. What I do is right about there, I cut into that with a skew just a little bit. And I have this little block of wood here, piece of walnut. Doesn't make any difference what kind it is, really. And you get a pretty sharp edge on it. You put a burn mark in it like that. And that does that.
You don't need Jim's wire anymore.
Oh, dear.
Somebody must use wire. I have done wire, but I don't anymore.
Pick up a refund, Jim?
And now I do another little bit of a and I don't burn that one. You could if you wanted, but I thought one burn mark was enough. A little bit of sanding. And now we're going to put this polish on it. And the other ones that are round, completely round, I do with the lathe running. But these, it's got these wings out, I prefer to put this polish on with it stopped, rub it in there by hand, and I don't take quite as much chance of banging up my fingers. And get it smoothed out pretty well. And then you do like this, and you just run that in there. Take a towel and wipe it around. Make sure that it's all covered. That one did have a little burn in it, but then you get a couple plies of this. Polish that up back in there, around, mostly on that good solid part. Come out the wings a little bit. And another good way to polish that outside up is with a buffing system. Many use a buffer, Beal buffing system or some other buffing wheels. That works very good on that. And now we'll put this little mandrel back in again and tighten it up. And then I always forget where I lay. Yeah. The sharper the gouges, and the better you can control it going across the end of it, the smoother you'll get it and the less sanding that you have to do. And that's got that finished. And I usually don't make another icicle here tonight because I carry a couple in my box. And that fits there. And I've got some finials here. And that will fit there very good.
It's over there. Yeah.
A little bit of glue here. What's that? The other one's laying out in the front of the table. I don't know where it is right now.
Isn't Lane over there?
Where'd the other ornament go?
I know, Barbara's sneaking
Right.
out.
On the other side of that jig. Is it there?
Yeah.
Was it laying there?
Put away for next month already.
Oh, it's put away for next, Paul took it.
Oh.
Oh, no, where is it,
It
really?
is, it's put away, it's raffle off next month.
Oh, oh, you're serious? Oh. Oh, great, I'll have to come next month.
Any way to get you here, Barb.
I can't stay home and watch Michael Jackson. Oh, shoot. Gotcha.
You don't want to get too much glue on. It doesn't take very much to hold them. You get that squeeze out and then.
Beautiful.
And there's that one finished. There's another one for Paul for his collection for giveaway. No, I was giving them to the club
Oh, thanks.
to raffle off, give away, whatever you want to do. So if that's where the other one is, that's
Oh, that's great.
where it's supposed to be. I don't know how long you want to stay. That's the end of the ornaments. If you wanted to see a top, just a plain spin top, I could make a spin top.
Oh, you got the king right here.
Oh,
Our time's up anyway.
okay, okay, that's fine. I enjoyed it, I hope everybody else did. We have a little fun, that'll take care of it.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Still interesting. Leave it run, just while he's tearing down, everybody's.
Need a couple sweepers.
Left the ones on there. Only got a couple.
I still use it, my original.
What do you think, Barb?
Nice.
Anybody else sign up?
There's mine right there.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Jim.
Is it though? Well, it's good. I don't like to bore people. You know?
Thank goodness I wasn't taking class.
Well, I'm glad you like it. I was deleted from my site.
Yeah, further exposure.
Turn the wood in between.
Okay.
Basket, I wanted to had them at the store if you'd have seen it.
Waiting for better weather.
It sounds to me.
I've been waiting for better weather.
Pardon me?
Inside, we won't be outside.
That's Blackwood, so they say. Where it's from, I don't know.
Buying and such.
Every country in the world has a bloodwood, you know.
Turned these
Right,
because I'm
I got it by my house. This is yours, isn't it?
No, this is mine, right here.
Okay, okay, I didn't know, and I didn't want to take it away.
Okay.
one half goes one way, one half goes the other. If you make a draw, it's just it gets into complications when you start making a face for it.
Yeah,
Then
everything's
it
gotta
has
be
to,
perfect.
it's gotta pass through.
Hey, Paul?
And then, okay, so you
How the
can,
old school done.
so you do it through both ways, and how do you stop it in the middle? I think what I'm.
The spots, it's like, I gotta watch the second. Hit something last time, you know?
See, the way I'm making it, if you make a wood overhang, you can't pass it through the other side. I don't know, I'm getting ready to.
Jack, did you bring your own Talon chuck or is that ours?
That's yours. I brought one, but that's your talent, Chuck. It's here. It's got your name on it. I didn't have the handle for it.
That's okay.
I had my own handle
You know, one of the different things he's saying.
because I didn't see it. This is my tool rest because there wasn't
I know you had that.
one. Sure. I weld myself. I was a welder one time, so.
When is that,
Yeah. March the 15th. It's a Saturday. We have a website, turnersanonymous.org.
Okay.
Yeah, this is your,
I'll take one.
okay, no, I don't want to get what's yours, but I do have to get this thing unbolted off of here, too.
You know, I probably knew, but I wouldn't have find it, so if you got one of
That's my cord. All of the cords there are mine, yeah.
Okay, what am I doing here?
Yeah, looking for a counter brush. Okay, I'll keep one for you.
Is that an all-day affair, that March?
Yes, it is, an all-day affair.
Start about 9?
Yes. Actually, it will start 9:30, I think they said. They're going to start a half hour early.
Got 20 for me?
Diane, how long did it take to get here? 3 hours. It's another hour from my place. Yeah, where that's going to be held. Kind of, the north side of Pittsburgh, down close to right along the river.
Oh, you're on the north. My both cousins used to live. I don't know. I'm guessing it's the south side over both rivers. If you're coming from here.
Yeah, that would be the south side.
Yeah, the neighborhood gets kind of crappy by the time.
Well, yeah. This is in the strip district, they call it, and the farmers markets and a whole bunch of that stuff.
I tell you,
That's mine, yes.
I tell you, it's a beautiful city though.
Is this maple wood?
Yes, it is. Hard maple. Hard maple.
No, I was wondering, is that cord, that red one over there, that one's also?
I think that belongs.
No, that belongs to them over there with the camera.
How about the light?
The light's mine too. It goes in this box back here.
Now, let's see.
Yes, it is. Right in there.
Okay, get some pictures of everybody cleaning up and then we'll get.
I gotta fish with it.
Here also?
Oh, okay.
That big one, when I get the fryer.
I mean, are you interested in getting to the big goal?
Thank you very much. I don't know what they're like, you know.
You did just as good a job as you did for the other one.
Good, good.
Real happy with it.